You're listening to the podcast Coffee with Mike and Julie, Libertarians Talk Psychology. This is current commentary from an MBA businessman and a PhD psychologist.
Look what they done to my song, Ma.
So today I want to talk about self-deception and humor. And this relates to the comments people have made about nobody got Trump's humor. And you and I, of course, think Trump's jokes were hilarious. But so recently I made a joke with the psychologist and I got censored for the joke. First off, I found a public budget page on the website that said that the board, the psychology licensing board, had a budget of $5.6 billion. Now, just to show you how funny that is, that's 17,000 times their budget. So I had no idea that people might get confused about that. So I posted it on the...
Posted it as a joke, but
as a joke.
As if you're just leaving it up to them to catch the joke.
Yes. So I posted it and said, yeah, there are rumors that the board is having financial problems. Of course they are. I've been reporting on the board's financial problems for 5 years. So I also assume people knew that. I made a lot of assumptions about the joke, but in any case, so I made a joke. I said there's a rumor they're having financial problems, which I thought that's funny.
Yeah.
And then I posted this screenshot, and people went berserk.
Now, just to be clear, the screenshot itself was a mistake. What you see on the screen was a mistake. There.
Well, I have no proof that it was a mistake, but it was outlandish concept.
Yeah.
The government published that figure. So
as if your board had a $5.6 billion.
Yeah, the government published that figure. I took a photograph called screenshot. I took a screenshot of something that I saw that I thought, hey, this is funny as heck. And I wanted to share it with people.
And the government probably corrected their
I'm sure they did. I'm sure somebody found
their
it
website
corrected it. I hadn't looked, but yeah. So I mean, the joke gets complex because I was accused of falsifying the screenshot, and I was booted off the listserv, censored by the authority figures, who are all about 30 years younger than me, and green as grass, and full of themselves, by the way. So I was booted off, and I was told that I had falsified and distributed fake news.
And they did it in a way. I mean, it was kind of embarrassing. They announced it to the whole listserv.
Announced it the whole place that I'd falsified information. So I'm still pissed off about this. I think it helped to watch Andy Kaufman's movie, Jim Carrey, because Andy Kaufman was immune to people's feedback to his humor, and I wish I had that ability.
I've always compared you to your dad. Your dad was a famous small town journalist, and he would rile people up, and I remember this. He would smile about it. I mean, it was like
we have this famous picture of him in front of Maxie Kitchens, who was the school board superintendent guy, the big shot, the big shot in the small town of Coshada, the poorest town and the poorest parish and the poorest state in the country, but he's a big shot.
Yeah.
So Daddy's in front of him. The picture is, and Maxie Kitchens is shooting daggers at the back of Daddy's head, and Daddy's smiling at the camera. I gotta go find that picture. That's a hilarious picture. But yeah, I think men, have an easier time laughing off the response. So this thing where I'm called names for making a joke.
Yeah, but I gotta say, it's a rare person who can handle, with pleasure, that other people are mad at you.
I would like to learn how.
That's
So
a rare
anyway,
personality.
this triggers our topic for today. And the topic for today, and this goes back to a researcher named Robert Lynch and Robert Trivers, started studying self-deception and humor. And I think it's a couple of, anyway, Trivers covers it in his book on self-deception. But they measured people on self-deception and found that, and then one of their studies is they showed the people a setting with Bill Barr.
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr, who I had a hilarious Scots-Irish. He's Irish or Scots-Irish. Is he from Dublin?
Well, he's from the United States.
Oh, he's from the United States. He's Boston.
He's just a redhead, that's all.
He's redheaded, and he looks just like most Scots-Irish look, and he has...
And he's angry like
he's
a lot of Scots.
angry. He's a funny comedian, absolutely hilarious. So they find out that the people who are high in self-deception don't laugh nearly as much as the people who are low in self-deception, and they have that folds into Trivers' theory about. Now, there's good and bad to self-deception. There, certain amount of self-deception is important for your immune functioning and your well-being. And then as you go further into it...
Immune function?
Immunity. Yeah, immune.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. A certain amount of being able to overlook stuff or...
Because you're stressed and that hurts your immune system.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a balance. And none of us can get out of some self-deception. I mean, it is a human trait. But when you get into enough of it where you, I would say, can't take a joke at all, and then you get into even more of it, you impact decision-making. So you get it's like a little self-deception goes a long way.
Can I mention Trump?
Yeah.
The joke that I think is one of the funniest jokes I've ever heard in politics, and the craziest reaction to it was when he suggested that Hillary Clinton's emails being erased, that maybe the Russians should just look for the emails. Maybe they could find her emails.
Maybe the Russians could
she
find
couldn't find them. And our Justice Department couldn't find them. Well, maybe the Russians ought to find them.
Right.
That was hilarious.
It is a
And
real
then
hilarious joke.
The reaction to it, people, I mean, to this day...
Accused him of collusion with a
that
foreign
he was
country.
asking the Russians, he was colluding with Vladimir Putin to find those emails, and just did not see the humor in that. And to this day, they still don't. I mean, they
Some people
still
really
did look at that
Yeah.
as part of the evidence for his Russian collusion, which they never could find any evidence.
Yeah,
in
it's
it.
like
and completely ignore that the Chinese are infiltrating our government left and right, and we're ignoring that, and we're just focused on Trump and the Russians.
Okay, so that brings up like the thing that I felt with my socialist colleagues. It's like, if Trump were colluding with the Russians, do they not understand the logic of him saying it out loud on the TV set to the world, that if you're that transparent, you're not colluding? Just the logical problem with that being the conclusion. So that happened to me is that this jackass says I'm falsified it. Well, number one, I don't know how to falsify a screenshot. I don't have the technical skill to falsify a screenshot. I mean, and if he thought deeply, this guy who accused me of that, if he thought deeply enough about it, he'd realize she barely knows how to log onto the website. So I would have had to do that. Okay, so to get back to the possibility that we're in a country now with two Americas, two groups, and one group is higher in self-deception. So,
and you're saying the evidence for that is they can't take a joke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and we know that joking around, like the elite comedians like Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr, that takes a lot of aggression. And we watched Andy Kaufman's Man on the Moon I mean, that it takes a lot of testosterone. You know, the two highest levels of testosterone are stand-up comics and football players. So we know it's a male trait, and it comes with testosterone. And there's a lot of, I mean, that opens up a lot of thinking. So, you know, females don't have as much testosterone. So I think we can enjoy a joke. Those of us with a decent dose of testosterone can certainly enjoy a joke. I mean, I think but sometimes I get like, oh, sometimes I feel like, ooh, that's going too far or something. And you don't seem to ever have that trouble. It's like it's hard for you to feel like the joke has gone too far, but I feel like sometimes that happens.
I've certainly gone too far many times.
Yeah. Well, you have personally. Oh God, yes. Now, so let's get into what the comedians. So the Blue America is censoring the comedians. Isn't that the case? They're beginning to censor it. Even Dave Chappelle mentioned that they're being censored.
The evidence I'd say for that is just looking at Saturday Night Live and how one-sided they have become. And it used to be Saturday Night Live ridiculed both sides of the political spectrum.
Well, no, that's a different topic. But I can appreciate that. In other words, it looks like the censorship, you're saying that it looks like the censorship has to do with some topics are now off limits, and all the making fun of the red group is all fine and good.
But Dave
Chappelle in one of his specials said that he couldn't make jokes about anything anymore. I mean, he acknowledged that politically correct political correctness has even reached the comedians.
No, you're right.
My point with that is that's what the comedians are supposed to be doing. There's a paradox, a serious paradox with this, that the comedians are there to show us our self-deception.
That's right.
That's what self-deception and humor is. That's what those two things are about. And so when we censor our comedians, we are censoring our ability to understand our self-deception and reality.
And that affects our decision-making.
Mm-hmm. That affects our decision-making and our ability to embrace wisdom and laugh at ourselves.
And be able to see the other side of an issue.
So you were talking about the movie Jackass and the golfing.
Do I need to describe that?
The elite golfer is out golfing.
Yeah.
And he's a big shot because golfing is big shot. I'm a big shot because I'm a golfer. I point out that neither of us golf. And all the golfers are going to hate our guts. But, it is la-di-da. If it's not being a big shot, it is at least la-di-da.
And even golfers would admit that.
Oh, they would?
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, well, Johnny Knoxville and somebody else were in the bushes near the tee.
They were
spot
teeing
where
off.
they tee off, and so Johnny Knoxville had a little blowhorn, and he would squeeze the trigger just before the guy's hitting the ball.
Which is aggressive. That's aggression.
It's okay. And he's hiding in the bushes.
They're laughing and hiding
laughing and hiding in the bushes, but these golfers get angry
and offended.
And then this one golfer gets so angry, and so the golfer turns around and starts hitting the ball toward Johnny Knoxville, and Johnny Knoxville, knowing that ball is getting ready to come right toward him, he's just laughing to kill himself. It's so funny to him that he has gotten to this guy so bad that the guy is trying to hit him with the golf ball.
And
then on top of that, Johnny Knoxville, while the guy is getting ready to hit it at him, Johnny Knoxville blows the horn.
It's a funny skit. Those guys can be so funny because, pain is nothing for them. They go through some pain, and that is it called Jackass?
Jackass the movie.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle has a couple of specials that, I mean, he's at the top of his game. He's a philosopher comedian. Now, here's the thing about humor. When a society becomes humorless, you would suspect then that we become more into self-deception, because humor is one way to peel back self-deception. It makes you think, and it makes you laugh at yourself. Humor, there are all kinds of positive benefits to humor. So while self-deception in some degree is good for us, our immune system, too much self-deception is bad, but humor is kind of like an antidote also for stress. And I could be right about this, but there was some evidence that women started, used to be women married men who had money. That was when men had all the money and didn't give any of it to women, and women couldn't go to college, and women couldn't have jobs.
Yeah, so it was important women find a guy that had money.
Yeah, back in the day, it's like you better find somebody who can make money. And then you guys screwed up and let us into the universities and then let us have jobs. And now we make more money.
And it was acceptable for you to be something besides an elementary school teacher.
Yes, we could be something besides teachers and nurses. So then we started making our own money. And we're like, wait a minute. But the point being that women started choosing men that made them laugh. Mm-hmm. So there's a huge benefit to laughter, to deal with life. And so we're thinking about a couple of things. Self-deception is a big problem in politics. And I think the country is getting more and more okay with fraudulent truth, fake news, hearing only what you want to hear, and getting offended by people who are joking about the lunacy going on. So we're getting tighter and tighter about freedom of information. And when we start censoring our comics, who are the tip of the spear for self-deception, and we should be tolerating them to any degree that we can think. We should be tolerating them, and their free speech is our free thought.
There you go.
So they see things, and the lunacy of it, or the humor of it it's just important that we be able to do that. My main point today is the importance, and I ran into it myself, and in reading on humor, I thought, I should and watching Man on the Moon, I should not take this so seriously that I was punished for a joke.
Well, what's the Winston Churchill quote?
You have enemies, good, that means you stood up for something sometime in your life?
Yeah, it's a related topic, is that...
Yeah, I need to be less thin-skinned.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't really respect these people's analysis of anything. The ones that speak up, the people that don't speak up on the list are very wise. I mean, I am not wise because I speak up, and that means I'm the one that gets the arrows in the chest.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of people who agree with me and find the whole thing ridiculous, but they're not going to say anything.
Yeah. No, the thing I wanted to bring up was just to punctuate your point about humor is Dave Smith, my favorite podcaster, is a comedian. He's a stand-up comic.
He started out that way. Now he's a political analyst.
Yeah, I think he makes more money as a podcaster than he does as a comic. But he brings up this whole thing about people being hard on comedians. But he says he
talks about that?
Mm-hmm. But he says he especially has no patience for comedians who want to criticize other comedians and what they find funny and all that.
Oh, like political correctness in comedians.
Yeah. He says comedians know that the whole thing about comedy is to be edgy
Yeah.
and if for them to jump on the bandwagon and criticize another comedian,
Yeah.
he said, is totally unacceptable.
Absolutely. So it's like that's a hypocrisy.
That's right.
And so he's criticizing the hypocrisy, which hypocrisy relates to self-deception. I mean, hypocrisy is a form of self-deception.
There you go.
So the attack on people for making jokes about things, that is new, I think. I mean, I've been made uncomfortable by jokes, but it is the tip of the spear on what we're denying, what we're playing around with.
Well,
and it is a form of free speech that is causes you to think. Dave Chappelle, philosopher, comedian, you walk away from his specials laughing your ass off, but also thinking hard about stuff.
I could be wrong about this, but I think it used to be that off-color jokes were what was inappropriate in the world of comedy. If you
Off-color meaning sexual.
Sex.
Well, of course, that was when sex was taboo, and now it's kind of bizarre, but used to be sex was taboo topic, and now it's not a taboo topic.
Certain curse words and certain sexual topics were taboo, and that's the only thing I can remember being taboo in the world of the comedy I saw. But now there's all kinds of limits to appropriate comedy.
There's all kinds of politically correctness has hit the comedians, and so I had a lot to learn about this event. It's still going on, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to feel.
What event?
My own personal event with
your
my
event. Okay.
getting censored before a joke. And if I was Andy Kaufman, I'd come back at him with a bigger joke.
That's right. And they would still be taking it serious.
Yeah, they would still.
You would be smile because they took it serious.
Yes, if I could be more like Andy Kaufman. So that show, you got depressed watching Man on the Moon, but because we figured out he I guess he died. I guess he did die because the end of the movie is like maybe not. But anyway, 34. I didn't know he died
age 34.
Age 34. That's really young to die of lung cancer and a non-smoker. So there are some questions. It's not totally logical.
Well, it makes sense that people question it because he was such a practical joker.
Oh, he loved to. Everything was a. So that's the aggressive part, is fooling your audience and making them out to be fools. That's the aggressive part. But he was like an interesting person. But after watching that movie, I thought, I need to buck up here and not take this seriously. I think I took that whole thing. I'm taking that whole thing too seriously.
Probably.
I should go and make another joke. I wonder if I have the guts to do that.
So now this is fake news.
What I should
Here's
do
an example of fake news.
What I should do is get Jake to falsify a document and post. What about this one? Is this falsified too? I should just make fun of them. I don't know if I have the I don't know.
Your face on a 20-year-old's body. Now this is fake news.
Well, this deserves some thinking about, because we have to learn and grow from our experiences with the right and the left. So to sum up, I want to just sum up by saying that self-deception and humor go hand in hand, the ability to appreciate humor, and that as we shut down information flows, we become more self-deceptive, not less self-deceptive. And it's a very dangerous thing for decision making and wisdom. We're in a very dangerous time. For us libertarians, the path is pretty dark, looks to be.